Hello, and welcome to Sideways. You might hear the rain, but you might be missing the soothing sound of birdsong in my introduction this week. That's because Daisy's had an operation and is on a strictly limited walking routine, meaning that we can't wander aimlessly around the woods for ages. She seems quite happy about it all, but I'm missing my long walks, which are, funnily enough, connected to this week's topic. So this time, we're talking about a practice that provides an antidote to thoughts that trigger feelings of anxiety, stress, and sadness. In addition, Martin suggests a couple of world records that might be within our reach, and recalls an especially uncomfortable experience with tea tree and mint. There are weird incarnations of advent calendars, and we wonder about showering etiquette. Glimmers.
Is that Buddha?
Good evening. Good evening. Yeah, it is. Can you see?
Well, only when you get your head out of the way. Why is Buddha with us?
Well, just because it gives me a little bit of feeling of peace and security.
Right. Okay, nice.
It gives me a little glimmer.
A glimmer of hope.
Just a glimmer, yes. Which is what I was going to be talking to you about this evening.
Well, you say this evening. It's the middle of the night, really, isn't it?
It is, for you, it is, yes.
Yeah.
Very late. Are you all right, though? You're awake and with us?
Yeah, at the moment, I'm awake. I just got up to do this, obviously. Set the alarm to get up. Set the alarm to get up and do it.
You've still got the Sideways logo upside down behind you, I think, haven't you?
Yeah, actually, when I was loading it up today, I thought, I think I might just leave it like that now. There's something pleasingly subversive about it.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, it's good.
That's about as subversive as I get. But it's a step in the right direction.
It is, yeah, very radical. Yes. So anyway, because it's so late for you, because it is 7:15 in the evening.
Well, at night, you mean?
At night, sorry, middle of the night.
I didn't realise there were 2 7:15 in a day.
I'm going to talk to you about Glimmers, as that clunky segue I used earlier on by using my.
Well, again, it wasn't clunky because it actually passed me by the first time. Then I realised what you'd said, and I thought, oh yes, that's you've been very clever there, haven't you?
That's why I put that particular background up. Yes, obviously the listeners won't be able to appreciate this, but
well, no, maybe I'll put it on YouTube.
YouTube, like TikTok.
The YouTube.
But Glimmers, they're very relevant. They're very relevant because we often talk about in recovery groups. We talk about triggers, and Glimmers are the opposite of triggers. Yeah. So it all fits in quite nicely.
Well done. I bet you're pleased with yourself.
I'm quite. Yeah, not bad. Yeah, I'll give myself a little pat on the back. But before we get into Glimmers, couple of things. There's a little story about a police warehouse in Argentina.
Yeah. It's already funny.
Well, in there they'd stored £13,000 in weight of seized marijuana.
Okay, that's quite a lot, isn't it?
It is quite a lot, and they suddenly realised one day that £1,000 had gone missing.
Right.
Now, what would you can have a first thought of where that's gone, really, haven't you? What would be in your mind about that? Where do you think?
Well, £1,000 weight worth of marijuana.
Yeah, just suddenly gone. So,
I'd say some wrong uns have got in and smoked it.
Well, actually, it was 8 police officers that were in charge of the haul.
Yeah.
They said,
in inverted commas.
Well, quite, yeah, in charge in inverted commas, exactly that. But they said that it must have been eaten by mice when they okay.
Well, yeah, that was my second thought.
Was it? Yeah, it is. It's natural. And mice do get in. Experts were called in and they said that the mice, they would never mistake marijuana for food. And if they did, it would have killed them. And there'd be loads of little mice corpses all around the remaining crop. So
I imagine you need a fair multitude of mice to get through £1,000 weight worth of marijuana.
Yeah, there's no there was no mice droppings or anything about. So the cops were banging to rights really, but they were sacked. and they're up before the beak soon. So as soon as I find out what sentence they got,
hasn't come to court. Hasn't got to court yet.
It hasn't. No, it's they're just waiting to be. I'd imagine they'd be pleading guilty. I mean, they've obviously nicked it and flogged it off, but we can't say that yet. Allegedly,
no.
That's what happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unless they've nicked it and smoked it all.
They could have done that, couldn't they?
They could have done. I mean, let's face it, that's probably the most likely scenario in which you'd come up with a crazy story about mice eating it.
Because they were stoned at the time and they were asked.
Exactly. They were so off their faces at the time, they conjured up that sort of excuse.
It's not great, is it? But if that's the best they could come up with at the time, perhaps they were a bit stoned.
It doesn't cast an impressive light on the law, does it?
Not in Argentina.
On the law enforcement.
Oh.
Where did you say it was? Argentina?
Yeah, I think it was actually in Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
Yes. So there, but there's a second thing I just wanted to run by you, really, because the Guinness Book of Records.
Yeah.
70 years old this year. Did you ever have? Were you always used to get a book each year at home?
Never. I never. It just like Scalextric. I never had it.
Would you? Because we always found it fascinating as kids. You'd always look through and see who's the tallest person, the heaviest person, or whatever. There's always fascinating things to look at through there. So we used to get one each. It used to turn up at Christmas time, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, it would do, wouldn't it? It's the perfect Christmas gift. It just happens to be the perfect Christmas gift that I never received.
Well, I think my dad got it each year. I think my mum used to buy it for my dad, so we always used to thumb through it. But anyway,
I quite like those traditional sort of annual gifts that people receive. It's a nice tradition, but I don't recall ever having one. So there we are. No,
but the reason I've mentioned that, and not just about the being nostalgic about the book itself, but there's several. Well, there's three particular records that are outstanding. I thought you might like to have a crack at, so you could get in there.
Okay, yeah.
There's three. I'm going to mention.
Did you think I was shooting? Did you think of me when you saw them?
No, but she was horning it into this. Well, there's three. The first one. These are up for grabs. These cushions. So these records.
Yeah.
So whatever you come up with, you're going to be in them unless quickly. Yeah. So the first one is the most whoopee cushions sat on in 1 minute.
I reckon I could have a good go at that.
Yeah, I reckon you could have a good go at that.
I mean, I probably could do upwards of 5.
Yeah. If you had them really close together and had loads of them. I wonder if you could put more than one on top of each other.
I shouldn't think you can. I expect there are quite strict rules for this sort of thing.
Yeah, but the McWhirter twins can't come along and check it out, can they?
No, one of them got blown up by the IRA and I think the other one's dead. Well, obviously they're both dead. But
they're both dead.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd imagine there's some other people that take up the mantle now.
Yeah, the only problem with that sort of sitting on whoopee cushions, I mean, you would struggle with that one, wouldn't you? Because your knees.
Well, I could still move across if I put them at, a decent angle.
Yeah, I know, but there is a degree of sort of leverage required.
Up and down.
Put yourself down and then get up again.
My knees aren't that bad. You're making them out as if I need to.
Yeah, but hang on, if you were trying to do 50 whoopee cushions in a minute.
Yeah,
I think that would take a toll on my knees. I'd be struggling with that, I think.
Yeah, the noise would be funny though, wouldn't it? As well. So you got to take that.
But then that's funny once, isn't it? You don't need to do that constantly. Okay, all right. I'll keep that one in the back pocket.
Yeah. The second one you might want to have a go, which is the fastest time to blow a postage stamp 10 meters.
Fastest time to blow a postage stamp 10 meters.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I suppose
is that indoors? Indoors?
Again, it'd be under controlled conditions. So, but I imagine if you had a quite a nice slippery floor, so you could scoot along and do it.
Yeah.
So that's one.
A school hall would be the perfect, or a gymnasium would be the perfect.
Yeah, especially just after the summer holidays when you come back, it's all been revarnished and stuff.
Oh yeah, I might give some of the local schools a call tomorrow and tell them I'm lining up for a bid.
You're coming in.
What sort of denomination stamp would we be going for? You want a Christmas stamp, wouldn't you? Because it'd be bigger and there's more surface area to get some air, some oxygen underneath,
I'm glad you're thinking about it. I can see you're almost stimulated by the idea.
Yeah, okay, all right. What's the last one?
You might not be by the last one.
Oh.
which is the fastest time to ascend Everest on a bike.
Yeah. Of the three, that would be the one that I would be least keen on.
Well, that I think that one would be one that my knees may have trouble with. That's for sure.
Ascend. So hang on, you can't get to the top of Everest on a bike, can you? I mean, that's ridiculous.
Well, I don't know.
Is that possible?
It's a record that's up for grabs.
I'm not sure I could get to the top of Square Hill on a bike, let alone Everest.
Oh, God, no. I think I'd have trouble with those. You'd have to go up and push, which would probably take you a little bit longer.
Are you allowed to do that? Are you allowed to do that for the record attempt?
Well, I'd imagine so. You could push it up Everest, but I'm sure someone that was slightly decent on a bike would get there, would make a quicker ascent.
Yeah, I suppose so. Bradley Wiggins or someone like that, you mean?
Someone like that. It'd be someone coming along and be a bit flash, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna set my sights on the postage stamp and the whoopee cushion.
I think it's more within your realm. Anyway, we get on to Glimmers.
All right, yeah.
Before you start dropping off to sleep this late on.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
So, just as a definition, that glimmers they're small, often fleeting moments.
Yeah.
That can evoke a sense of safety or joy or peace or connection. A bit like my picture of Buddha behind me.
Yes. What does that give you? A kind of a little surge of joy when you look at it?
It does. It absolutely it does.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Nice.
It was originally coined by a therapist, one of your tribe.
Right. Okay.
In the context of polyvagal theory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this therapist said that glimmers are the opposite of triggers, and that they signal to your nervous system that you're sort of safe and supported. So very important. And I was just going to go into the only bit of science in this. I just wanted to tell you how it works on the nervous system.
All right, lovely.
If you're the least bit interested.
Well, I'm not, but I'm sure there will be people that are listening that are.
Well, what glimmers do?
Just tune out and think about blowing postage stamps.
I've taken you off course, haven't I? I had to bring you back in the room. So what glimmers do? Actually, the thought of blowing a postage stamp might be a little bit of a glimmer for you. We'll get a bit of a buzz.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
So because you might be activating your parasympathetic nervous system with it, which is what glimmers do.
Yeah.
So and that system is responsible for calming the body and restoring balance. Mm-hmm. And they help you shift into the ventral vagal state, where you feel grounded and connected and capable of engaging with everything in the world that seems nice and peaceful.
Yeah.
And even tiny glimmers can help regulate your emotional state. And apparently over time, it sort of builds up your resilience as well. So
it's very much like gratitude.
Yeah, it is. And that comes into that later on. I'll just touch on that.
Mm.
And obviously glimmers, they're in the eye of the beholder, really. It's different things to different people.
Very much so.
But there's some when I was doing my research, there were some sort of examples of different areas where you can get glimmers. And the first one was sensory experiences, like the warmth of the sunlight, or in your case, some crisp snow on the ground or something.
Well, I'll tell you what. The immediate one that I think of is a couple of years ago. I was bought for, I think it was my birthday, some shower gel, right? And this shower gel, it was a sensory experience because it created a very powerful olfactory recall of the smell of the stocking that I used to get my presents in at Christmas when I was a child. Right?
Wow.
So it really smells very powerfully of that memory. Yeah. And so every time I got in the shower and used that, I was kind of transported back to being a child and waking up and, feeling the weight of the stocking at the bottom of my bed, knowing that Father Christmas had been. I mean, it was had the most amazing impact on me, which, is very much a glimmer that is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah. Certainly if I had the same smell, it wouldn't result in the same reaction, obviously.
No, it would be disturbing if it reminded you of my childhood Christmases.
It would. Anything I was thinking about when you talked about shower gel, I think we talked about on here before about having a gift of some shower gel, which was tea tree and mint.
Oh, yeah.
Which completely burnt your knackers off. It was an awful feeling.
Yeah, it should say, shouldn't it, on something like that, not to be used on genitalia, shouldn't it?
It needed something on there because it was a very painful experience. So if I do smell that now, it's not a glimmer. That is a trigger. It's the absolute opposite. Yeah.
But funny enough, ironically, thinking about you using that is a glimmer for me.
So it worked out eventually anyway, didn't it?
Yeah, like seeing someone fall over. I mean, that's a glimmer, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. Horrible for that person.
I don't know how Buddha would feel about that, but
not happy, to be honest. No, it's not a very loving way to carry on. But one of the other sensory experiences was the sound of birds. Now you must have. Now, I mean, we've had some very nice compliments at the start of the episode when you do your introduction, and in the background there's bird song. Yeah, I know, that does. Whenever I start to listen to the recording, I was think, oh yeah, that's a nice start.
I mean, well, as you say, we've spoken about this a lot, but I just love it in whatever sort of state I'm in. If I can be outside listening to the birds, it immediately has that impact on me. Yeah. So much so that I've instructed my children that when I die, I want bird song played at my funeral.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well,
I think if you're listening to a blackbird singing, it's quite. It's difficult to feel anything other than uplifted.
Joy, yeah.
I mean, a lot of people probably feel uplifted at my funeral anyway.
Yeah, I was thinking of getting a jazz band along. One of those walking ones. Yeah.
You get a mariachi band along and get one of those things that hang from the ceiling you have to hit with a stick. What are they called?
Pinatas?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, make it a proper joyful occasion. Anyway, I won't think about that just at the moment because we'll be running out of time. But other things, and this reminded me of my childhood as well because it talks about the smell of fresh coffee can be a glimmer to a lot of people. And
very much so.
You probably remember that shop in Week Street in Maidstone.
Very much, yeah. Next to the greetings card shop.
Yeah, and it used to have a what do they call it? It was a
roaster.
Right. That's it, going round, and the smell of coffee along the whole long Week Street was just beautiful. And
go on.
I was just going to say, and you may just be saying it, the same thing as well, would have been Sharp's, the toffee factory along the road.
Exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
Because when they were making certain toffees, the smell used to go across the whole of Maidstone, didn't it?
Yeah. Although that, kind of reinforcing what you were saying earlier, I'm not sure I found that so much of a glimmer. I suppose if I'd been away from Maidstone and I came back, that would probably be a glimmer because it would be a smell of home.
Yeah, true, yes.
But that smell, that kind of smell, that sort of faint smell of toffee across the entire town all the time, was kind of became probably so ubiquitous that it wasn't that interesting. But the smell of coffee that you get in Week Street, I mean, I can remember that so powerfully. And I think it then kind of takes you back to those moments that you associate with it, which I suppose can be a kind of layering of glimmers, can't it?
Yeah, it can. I think there's lots of those sensory ones that we could probably come up with. But the next area I was going to look at was social connection.
Oh.
It suggests, things it comes up with. You may not find these particularly glimmerous. I don't know if that's a word.
Right, isn't it?
A smile from a stranger.
Yeah, that's quite nice, I suppose, isn't it? I suppose my equivalent of that is, when you walk past someone, I mean, most people don't really say anything to you when you walk past, but it's quite nice sometimes to walk past someone and they say good morning to you. Or, that's quite nice, isn't it? That does give you a feeling of connection. Yeah.
The smaller the community, the more likely it is to happen. I mean, it doesn't happen in London or in New York, does it?
No.
People don't give each other the time of day, but in the small little villages around here, people often say hello and good morning.
Yeah.
And it goes on to say things like a hug from a loved one. That's nice as a social. You get a glimmer there, don't you? Or a kind message.
Not for too long, though, eh?
Not what?
Not for too long, though, eh?
What
just a little one.
We'll gloss over that. But
let's not draw it out,
Exactly. Or a kind message, nice little kind text message.
Yeah.
Lovely little glimmer. Nice. In nature, we've talked about the birds singing, but things like seeing a rainbow or walking barefoot on the grass, that sort of thing in nature. Just being in nature, watching the leaves rustle on the trees. or indeed a nice little carpet of leaves on the ground, which can be nice.
Yeah, you have to be careful. There's no dog poo in them, though.
Yeah, you do there.
That isn't a glimmer. Treading in poo.
It's a proper trigger, that one, isn't it? Yeah. triggers your rage, that's for sure. You can get them through creativity and flow, like when you're getting absorbed in doing a painting or writing a new song.
Yeah.
Music.
Yeah, music. Finding a new chord.
Finding a new chord.
Yeah, that you haven't found before. Lovely.
And you've done some songwriting recently, haven't you?
I have done songwriting recently, yeah. I've been doing quite a lot of that. It comes in sort of waves, that for me. You know, I lose interest, but I don't do any for a while, and then suddenly I get really into it. And that's really nice, you know, again, full of glimmer.
Yeah, it is full of glimmer. And listening to music, obviously, that's a sensory experience, which create lots of glimmers. And the last one I had was spiritual or mindful moments, like doing a bit of meditation or prayer, if you like that sort of thing.
Yeah, very much so.
Your deep breathing exercises can make you feel nice and grounded and stuff.
I've been in deep reflection tonight and yesterday whilst I've been watching my Advent candle burn down. You
like that, don't you, each year? You've got obviously...
love an Advent candle, yeah. You know, without wishing to digress, I was listening to the radio and they were talking about how Advent calendars this year, you can get Advent calendars with hot sauce in them. You can get Advent calendars with period pants in them, so menstrual Advent calendar, and an Advent calendar with sex toys in it.
You
know, you open your little door and there's a vibrator or a gimp mask.
Oh, I mean, that's got to be quite a big calendar, really, I suppose, isn't it?
Suppose so. But if it's all the same to you, I'll stick with my candle, because that is a glimmer both literally and metaphorically.
That wraps it up nicely. So I just wanted to go on to why glimmers matter. Mm-hmm. You know, because it's all very well talking about them, but apparently it's the emotional regulation, so they help balance the nervous system and helps to reduce stress, which we can all do with. But they find also in recovery from trauma. So those that are healing from trauma, glimmers can often, they offer sort of a gentle reminder that safety and joy are still possible. You know? Yeah,
and I imagine that's key in the recovery community.
Totally.
You know, when you come out of a very dark period of your life, and even a momentary a laugh, for example, something makes you laugh. That's a classic glimmer, isn't it?
It is.
The realization that you still have the ability to find things funny. In fact, I mean, not just in recovery, but if you have, anyone that's listening suffered with depression, if you've been depressed, that realization, I don't remember the last time I laughed, but I've just laughed.
Yeah.
It can be an amazing feeling. And as you say, kind of gives you a sense of hope and optimism for the future.
Yeah, it does. And I think it builds up that if you keep regularly noticing the glimmers, it can build up your resilience to cope with challenges. But yeah, it mentions in the research about how it can help to reduce anxiety and depression and burnout and those sort of things, especially when they're intentionally cultivated, when you look for them and you notice them and you search for them rather than just let them happen. So yeah, there's a lot to glimmers that make them an important part of your recovery journey and or probably just your normal well-being.
So do you think, I know we talk about gratitude a lot. Would you consider yourself someone who does consciously notice glimmers in your day-to-day life?
I do. You notice them, and it's very relevant again in recovery because you start to get joy from very little things, very small things, like feeding the ducks or just walking along the street, and you're not bursting to try and get a drink from somewhere, or just the freedom that recovery represents. There's glimmers everywhere, and it's lovely. But it's I think the one of the or the backbone really to successful long-term recovery is keeping note of those glimmers, looking after them, and reminding yourself of them.
I think the more you do that, the more instinctive they become, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you can, so that when you try and you can cultivate them. It is all about noticing them, but you can train your awareness to notice them and sort of amplify the glimmers as well. Like mindful practice, you slow down and tune into your senses a bit, and and you can work out what feels good or safe, or what's happening right now.
I find it helpful. I can't really think of another way of expressing this, but I find it helpful to look deliberately for small things.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I noticed in the garden yesterday that the garlic that I planted is coming up. I mean, it's like that's a very seemingly insignificant thing.
No, okay.
But it's a tiny little moment, a realization, rather than, as so many people I think do these days, trying to rely on significant things happening, a particular piece of luck, or, you have an amazing night out or something like that. When you kind of chase those big ticket items in your life, inevitably they're much fewer and further between.
Yeah.
Whereas these sorts of things that we're talking about here are available to you if you look out for them every single day in multiplicity.
Yes, they are, and it is. I've when I was early in my recovery, and I still try and cultivate that now, but it is noticing those little things on a regular basis that make you realise that sobriety is worth keeping hold of. It's worth it's worth not becoming. It's about not being complacent about a lot of things, but not be complacent about the little things that bring you joy. I think it's very grounding, and it's very humbling. And I think, it does bring you joy from small little areas that you didn't think were initially possible.
Yeah. But stroking a pet, that's another one, isn't it?
What is?
I think that comes up quite a lot with Glimmers, stroking a pet,
Yeah.
The connection you have with an animal. Yeah.
And that's a sensory experience. We talked about it on a previous podcast, didn't we, about cow cuddling.
Oh, yeah, we did, yeah.
Because they got a much slower heartbeat than us.
Yeah.
It sort of syncs with their heartbeat, and it brings you this lovely sense of peace and serenity.
Yeah, very much.
Unless you're laying in a cow pat where you're doing it, and it's not quite so much fun.
I remember Daisy rolling in a cow pat once when she was a puppy.
Did she get I bet there was some sensory stuff going on there.
I'm not sure it did much good for my heart rate at that particular point. So I had to walk all the way home with her covered in shit.
That's one of the joys, isn't it?
Yeah.
But anyway, it does come on to, when we're looking at cultivating glimmers, it mentions journaling. It mentions, gratitude journaling, but they also call it, creating a glimmer list. So identify the things
gratitude list, yeah.
Yeah, the little things that constantly do make you happy. It's worth jotting them down.
Mm-hmm.
And environmental design, so the things around it. This reminded me of you when I was reading this, because you can surround yourself with comforting sights and sounds and scents. And I know you like to have a bath with some candles going on, don't you?
I do, yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's funny. I think, I like a nice bath, candle. Maybe a bath bomb even.
If you go really crazy. Yeah, and your little rubber ducks, you have those that you're floating about?
Yeah, which you bought for me a number of years ago.
I did, yeah.
I still enjoy having those in the bath. Well, I'm very good at sort of anthropomorphizing things, so even though they're made of plastic, it's very easy for me to consider them human. Well, not human, but real, living.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, when I turn my webcam off, which sits on the top of my screen here, because obviously all the time I'm talking, it's focused on me. The camera is facing me. When I turn it off, it dips its head like that, and I feel a little bit sad.
Oh, does it? Oh, right. Is it bowing you?
I feel like it's saying, "Oh, that's a shame."
Oh, right.
I feel like my webcam is sad, and it has a genuine impact. It has a genuine impact.
Does it?
Yeah, it does.
I've never heard that before, but which is again, that's not a glimmer, is it?
Well, no, but when I turn it on, it's a glimmer because it puts its head up and it's like, "Oh, hello,
I'm alive again."
Exactly. See, glimmer.
I'm sure your webcam has its self-worth is boosted, isn't it, by you utilising them?
Yeah. Well, it makes me feel better, and that's by definition a glimmer, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Double bubble. So the last one there really was connection rituals. So make sure you make time for being around those people that nourish you emotionally, and certainly around your pets and your dogs and your activities
I definitely make
them,
time for that. Yeah.
which you do on a regular basis, don't you?
Yeah, very much
Daily
so.
basis.
Yeah.
So that was it. Now there was the last little bit that there was just this little table that I came across, which is called Glimmers in Daily Life, and there's just the situation like the morning routine.
Yeah.
A possible glimmer. This is what it's mentioning: the smell of your favourite soap. You've already sort of
I have
gone down that route, haven't you?
I'm a big one for smells of soap. I'm quite sensitive to smells. Yeah.
Yeah. And the situation being the next one to consider is on your commute. I know you don't have a commute, but
Well, no, I don't really. Well, I suppose I consider my morning walk with the dogs.
It says on your commute, the possible glimmer is seeing a dog wag its tail. So if you're sitting in the car and you're stuck in a traffic jam and a doggy walks by wagging its tail, a little glimmer.
Yeah, actually, that's true. Because if I'm in the car and I see another dog, that always gives me a little lift.
Yeah.
Right? So
little glimmer. So you should jot that down. Really, that's a.
Or when I'm driving.
On your glimmer, not when you're driving. I suppose you could use a voice note, couldn't you?
Yeah, I could do. Yeah.
So if the situation that can occur next is during the work day, if it says here a colleague saying thank you.
I don't have any colleagues, so that doesn't happen.
No, you haven't got any. I can imagine that your clients are the other side of the screen say thank you at the end of the session often.
Well, I suppose in a sense, although it sounds a bit sort of bit I don't know what it sounds like, but I think just the work itself is probably a glimmer. You know, it's nice to be able to feel I'm sure you feel like this as well. It's nice to feel that you're doing something that supports people who are struggling.
Yeah, absolutely, it does. Yeah.
It's not. I suppose it's not strictly a glimmer, is it? Because it's kind of a permanent state. But yeah, I think if you look for that in one's work, then it's quite easy to find that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, when I see people getting better and they come into the rehab and they start to show signs of progress and improvement, that's a little glimmer. I always find that rather nice. In the evening as well, it's got candlelight or cosy lighting, which can be sort of touched on, but it's quite nice.
Love a bit of candlelight, especially when I'm in the bath with your duck and the bath bomb.
It's all there.
Watching The Voice.
And the situation that the last one is like the weekend. We can have a walk in nature or a quiet moment alone or away from your work environment. Just having a little bit of me time. You can get little glimmers there. Yeah,
all of that. In the garden, reading a book, lying in the hammock. All of them, so many. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Great. Life's full of glimmers.
When you look for them, and so if you jot them down, the list would go on and on. I'm sure.
Eating cheese, that'd be another one.
Yeah. So I suppose that come under sensory, wouldn't it? The taste, and the smell of the cheese.
Or looking at the cheese.
Looking at the cheese
before you eat it.
Yeah, except in a confusing cheese shop in London.
That's a glimmer for me as well. Remembering that. Remembering times where I was with you in a cheese shop and you panicked and bought.
Too much choice. Didn't know what I was talking about. So anyway, that's my notes on glimmers.
Yeah, very good, nice. Yeah,
but it is quite nice because since I did the research on this last week, I've mentioned it a couple of times in groups already. Glimmers being the opposite of triggers, and it's had a good response. So
good. So it's taken on it's taken on a life of its own.
Yes, it has.
Lovely.
Yes, it has. Good. So we'll move on then to the next little feature, which is the conundrum.
All right. Okay.
So,
I suppose for some people, this might be considered a glimmer.
Okay.
It's a very simple one this week.
Wicked.
No, it's not a deep one. I think this will rely very much on your sort of gut response. You ready?
Yeah.
Is it okay to wee in the shower?
Okay. Was that the response you expected? Is it okay?
I suppose I did. Sometimes I ask you something that's deep and meaningful, don't I? But this one, not so much.
It's not, but I'm just thinking, I'd say yes.
Oh, interesting. Because I thought you might say no, it isn't. Not necessarily because you thought it wasn't, but because you thought that it would be wrong to say yes, it's okay to wee in the shower.
Well, I was sort of juxtaposing that with weeing. You don't do it when you're in a bath, for example. That'd be wrong.
No, well, I suppose, yeah, that's not so nice, is it?
It's not so nice, and the
Sitting
same
in your own wee.
Yeah, or in a swimming pool, you don't do it there. It's just it's not the thing to do. But in the shower, because it's being washed away the whole time. Yeah, I think it's all right. I've done that many occasions.
What about if you're in a shower in a public place like a sports club?
No, I probably wouldn't do it then. Or if someone else was sharing the shower.
So it's not okay then, even though it's still being washed away.
Yeah. I think it's something which is acceptable in the
confines of your own bathroom.
Exactly that. And again, you wouldn't do it if you're sharing the shower with someone. I think that would probably be a bit wrong, don't you?
Well, you should probably warn them, shouldn't you?
Yeah. Could you just move to one side a bit? Hang on a sec. Yeah, no, it's not so good. Not so good.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
I think we've sorted that one out, haven't we?
I think we
roughly.
I think we have. What about how do you feel about pooing in the shower?
I thought that would probably be the next thing. Definitely not. I mean, you can't really tread that down the plug hole, can you? Really, you don't. It's not. No, I'd say no.
That wasn't really a supplementary question.
No, it wasn't. No, it was. It was done to produce.
Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad we dealt with that one because I expect there will be a lot of people that are listening that are wondering whether they should wee in the shower or not. And I think we've set their mind at rest, haven't we? Yeah, knock yourself out.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think that weeing in the shower. I'm sure most people have weed in the shower. I'll be very surprised if not. If anyone says no, I've never done that.
No, I think that's probably true. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to go on to our gratitude list then.
Good. Well, I think it's your turn to go first because I'm pretty sure last time we had a gratitude sandwich.
We did, didn't we? You're right.
And I was the bread, wasn't I? And you were.
You came up with two good ones. Well, this one
you had a big breakfast. You put it in the middle.
Well, this one involves you actually.
Oh,
because on my gratitude list, since we last did a recording, you very kindly gave me a ticket and we went up to see Tim Key, the comedian.
We did. Yeah.
So I was very grateful for that. So that was
that's good.
It was on my gratitude list straight away, and it was just ready to come up. And I thought it was a good one, a good time to express it.
It was good fun, wasn't it?
Very good fun.
Yeah, even though it's a bit of an arse of a venue to get to, it is a lovely venue.
It's beautiful in its own way, isn't it? A little old Victorian music hall sort of place. It was lovely, and
only ruined by us arriving 2 minutes after they'd finished serving food.
That was a bit of a downer, wasn't it? I could see the disappointment in your face.
Well, I had to have a bag of crisps for my dinner, didn't I?
You did.
There's nothing funny about that, is there?
No, it's not. It gave me a little glimmer.
That wasn't a bloody glimmer.
It was for me, seeing the disappointment in your eyes. Yes, so that's on my gratitude list. So how about yours?
Right, well, I was trying to decide which one to have because, again, I had a couple. So I'll just mention both of them briefly. The first one was I bought myself a head torch and I never realised how useful it was going to be this time of the year when I'm walking the dog and it's dark. So it's quite useful. But then the other thing, I had to take Daisy back to Scotland for one of her treatments last week.
Yeah.
And I know I've had this one before, but I am always grateful for my car getting me all the way there and all the way back. Because, I mean, I know cars should, because that's what they're supposed to do. But when you've gone on a very, very long journey, like sort of 16 hours round trip, there's something about that. I always sort of think to myself, I'm so grateful that I got there and back in one piece. I think I'll probably feel like that more as I get older. But I feel grateful for that.
Yeah, I think you're more aware of the jeopardy of breaking down as you get older. You're absolutely right. But it is nice when you pull into your own road after being away from home for a long time.
Exactly, and there's no parking spaces. Yeah.
That would be a bit of a downer.
So that was it. Yeah.
No, that's a good thing to be grateful for, and I'd agree on that one as well. So I'm just going to go. I'm going to challenge you now lyrically.
Yeah.
The lyric challenge. So.
For some reason, I'm not feeling confident tonight.
Are you not? Okay.
No, I think it's because of the late hour.
Okay, you're not quite as sharp. Is that what you're saying?
No, exactly. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see how you get on. So
let's see. Yeah.
4 questions then, as we know. Same rules.
Yeah.
Point each in the first 3 questions for the artist and for the song. So 6 points available. And then the big old 4-pointer at the end, which has eluded you so far.
What's the most I've got is 5, I think. Is that right?
5. Last week you got 5.
Yeah. Okay, come on then, I'm ready.
Okay. Now, the first one is, I know not everybody has got a body like you.
Right, that's not ringing any bells. I know not everybody's got a body like you. Is this a song I'm likely to know?
Yeah, I think most people know this one. Well, it's quite a famous song.
No, and is it, what sort of era are we talking?
I'd say 80s.
80s, and
late 80s.
Okay, so right in the midst of
sweet spot of knowledge. But it's a single artiste. It's not a band. One of the songs which this person is quite synonymous with.
Do you think I like it?
Yeah, probably. You'd appreciate the songwriting and the quality of the person's vocals, I think. Yeah.
Right. I don't know what this is.
Very poppy. Yeah.
Very poppy. I'm going to go only because I was singing it before we we started recording this evening. I'm going to say it was Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up.
It's not that, no. I think it's probably a similar sort of era. But yeah, I know not everybody has got a body like you. It's Faith by George Michael.
Oh, blimey. Yeah, I can hear it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay. Yeah.
No, 0 point.
Thanks.
Okay, the second one.
Yeah.
Turn Your Back on Mother Nature.
Oh, I know this.
Not too quick to remember because we need to live a little bit.
No. I mean, what I mean is, I know I'm familiar with this lyric, but I can't think where it's come from, and I'm not hearing the song.
Oh, right. Okay.
Back on Mother Nature. Can you give me something?
Again, same sort of era.
Oh, I really can hear this. This might be something I like.
I think I'm sure you probably like the group. Again, fairly poppy, but come up during the sort of synth pop era. So it's that sort of time.
On my back on Mother Nature. I know I'm going to know this when you say it because the lyric really rings a bell.
It's turn your back on Mother Nature, not turn my back. Or turn your back on Mother Nature.
Turn your back on Mother Nature. Oh, is it Tears for Fears?
It is.
Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
It is. Well done, you. So that's a couple of points in the bin. I'll jot them down on this. On the
I'm pleased with that, actually.
Yeah, it took a little bit of getting, but you got there. And the third one, if only I could, I'd make a deal with God.
Right, I know this immediately.
Excellent.
I'll give everyone a second or two to get it.
Yes.
It's Kate Bush.
It is.
Running Up That Hill.
Running Up That Hill. What a fabulous song. I think we'd agree, wouldn't we?
It's a fabulous album, that.
Fabulous album.
Yeah. Of course, it's made a big return, hasn't it, recently? Because wasn't it included in the hit series Stranger Things?
Stranger Things, I think it was, yeah.
I'm only saying that to seem hip and down with the kids.
You are, I'm pretty sure Placebo did a version. I did one.
They may have done, yeah.
Yeah, but yes. So you got 4 points already.
I've got 4. So
yeah, this one.
Now okay, all right.
This is actually. I won't give you any clues first of all.
No.
Because you might get it anyway. You might get it straight away. So the lyric is quite a short one, but is the marriage vow is very sacred.
No, I'm not getting anything. The marriage vow is very sacred. Am I likely to know this?
Yeah, I think it's a 70s one, this one. So it's a little bit earlier. and it's a poppy one that was in the chart.
I feel like I do know this.
You'd know it because I've said it. If I said it in the right intonation, the way it comes out in the song, you get it pretty much straight away, I think.
Right. A band I might like, do you think?
Oh, yes, it is. But it came out when I was looking this up. They titled it as just under the name of the singer, but it may have been the group. It may have been because he's a lead singer of a group, but he's famous in his own right.
Right.
But it may have been one of his solo singles. I think it probably was.
And you say 70s?
Yeah, I think it's.
I'm not sure I do know this. The person who's coming to mind is Brian Ferry.
It is. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Okay, so it's Brian Ferry and Roxy Music, or just Brian Ferry. But which song is it?
Can I give you 2 points then for getting the artist? I suppose
I suppose you have to, don't you? Yeah.
Have I given you too many?
I've got 6 points.
Yeah.
Now, can I get the song though? Mary Ferry's Very Sacred, Brian Ferry. I'll tell you, it's the weirdest thing. As I'm trying to think about the title, I can't think of any Roxy Music songs at all. Not a single one. I can't think of a single one. Don't know. What is it?
It's Let's Stick Together.
Oh, I wouldn't have got that, I don't think.
Wouldn't you?
I don't think I would. I mean, obviously I know the song, but I don't think that was the song that was in my mind. So,
but 6 out of 10. That's not bad.
Not bad, is it?
That's your record, man.
That is my record. So so we need to do all episodes in the middle of the night because obviously.
Yeah, because you made out you were fatigued, but quite clearly
yeah, maybe my brain is more open to lyricism in the evening.
Perhaps, I think you are. You get a little late night or late. Well, it's not a late night, but you get a late evening glimmer.
It's quite late night, isn't it? It's 8 o'clock now, for goodness sake.
It is.
Yeah.
I was just
anyway,
I was just turning my head there to see if the England Ghana women are playing.
Well, they are playing, aren't they? Didn't they?
They are. Yeah. Yeah. England are 1-0 up at half time.
All right. So is half time finished now?
No, half time. They're on half time though, so we can finish this and watch the second half.
Yeah. Well, let's quickly finish this then because I want to watch the rest of the girls play football.
Yeah. I want to see if Beaver Jones gets one.
Yeah.
One of my favourite.
Do you reckon they wee in the shower after the game?
Do you remember
footballers still have communal showers?
No.
Do they have a big bath?
No, they used to, didn't they? All jump in the same bath because it was all. But apparently that was all muddy and stuff, and all the mud.
Oh yeah, but it would have been. But you can't. I mean, imagine that in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
Professional footballers, they're all jumping in the bath after the game. They're having a piss in there, aren't they?
Oh, definitely.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed they are.
Guaranteed. So, if you're on England duty, Trevor Brooking has probably sat in Tony Curry's piss.
That's. I think it's a great an image which we can.
Great way to finish.
It is a great way to finish. Okay.
All right. See you next time.
Laters.
Bye.
Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.